In this tutorial, we are going to prepare our watercolor textures to create some brushes in Illustrator. But the first thing to do is to open your document in Photoshop and have a look at some textures that you've got. What we really want to be using for this tutorial is something with a bit of a blend. There's some really nice dark and light areas in the textures because they're going to come up in our brushes really nicely. So once you've found an area of your samples, we're going to use the crop tool, and I'm going to use this little sample here. And I'm going to crop everything else out because I just want to focus on this one. Press enter, and then I can zoom in there too. So a good panel to have open at the moment is layers, and we want to double click to unlock that one. And now we can either use a few adjustments. Actually, we can go to image, we can go to adjustments, and we can use the levels if we like. So this is just going to adjust the darkness and lightness. This little black toggle, if I move it to the right, it makes my darks darker, as you can see. So I might just move it a little bit. And the other direction on the right, that makes our lights lighter as well. So I'm just going to edit a tiny little bit. We don't really need to do too much of that. The next tool I'm going to use is the lasso tool. So if I click and hold, I want to select this magnetic lasso tool. And I'm going to now select, by clicking on my texture, an area that I would like to use for my brush, and I'm just going to kind of hover around the edges of my texture and let the lasso tool just kind of connect a little path for me. So I'm not even clicking here, I'm just dragging and kind of guiding where I'd like my lasso area to go. I'm selecting some blue, some purple, some really light and then dark texture bits as well, and I'm going to make sure that I create a closed path, and I can see that by the little circle next to the magnetic lasso tool there, and I'm going to click and it should be all highlighted. So once that has been selected, I can go up to my select option and click inverse just here, and then I can press delete and Control D to deselect. So if I click on the move tool and just center that, what I will now have is a texture ready to put into Illustrator Create a Brush. So once I've got that, I'm going to go to File and I'm going to click Save As, and we need to save this as a TIFF because a TIFF will have a transparent background. So this should be in a folder that's called Watercolor Textures. I'm going to say Purple Texture and click Save, and we should have this little icon. This must be selected just here, Save Transparency, and then click OK. Great, so once we've got a few textures, you can watch the next tutorial of how to turn them into brushes in Illustrator.